Okay, this is a follower submitted AITA cake story. This one is, am I the astronaut for hiding the cake mess my kids made? My family and I just attended a large 4th of July celebration at my boss's house. My boss hosts a large celebration every year on the 4th because their home is very close to where our city shoots off fireworks, and their yard has an amazing view of the show. They also have a pool, so several families from my office came and hang out, swim, BBQ, and then watch the fireworks. This was the first year that my family and I had attended. My kids, 4 and 7, had been playing outside with other kids at the party for a few hours, and they were hot and sweaty. We had just finished dinner and they asked if they could eat their cake and ice cream indoors where it was cool, and I agreed. At our home, we have a rule that no food is to leave the dining room. Both of my kids have a designated place at our table, and they always either eat there or at our island top. It never occurred to me that they may go elsewhere and eat at someone else's home. However, the table at the party was so full of food, so they must have just picked the first place to sit that they saw, because when I peeked my head in to check on them, they were both seated on the living room sofa with their ice cream and chocolate cake. In my panic, I yelled at them from the door and I hurriedly went to shoo them off the couch, which apparently startled my 4-year-old because what remained of her bowl of cake and ice cream ended up upside down on the sofa next to her. Just because I can relate. I leaped across the room and scooped up both kids and the bowl as quickly as I could, but it was too late. There was already a big smear of goop down one cushion. I was horrified. I grabbed a damp tea towel and tried to clean up the mess, but the sofa was a light fabric and getting it clean was impossible. So, noticing that we were the only ones in the room, I told my kids to go outside and get ready for fireworks. I flipped the cushion over and said nothing. There were a lot of kids at the party and my boss has kids as well, so it really could have been any of them that made the mess. Am I the astronaut for hiding the cake mess my kids made and not telling my boss? Interesting. For a large portion of this, I was like, well, did one of you guys write this? Because normally people come to our house to watch fireworks because it's really close to where it is. Yeah, people swim. This could be one of our team members here. I'm about to end the stream, go home, and start checking our couch cushions now and be like, oh God. Yeah, I think this is an asshole move. I do. I think that at minimum, probably should have told them what the deal was. And hosts are going to be understanding because kids are kids. And if they have kids, they're going to understand. Yeah, it sucks. Doesn't make it not suck. But I would rather know about it so that I could begin treating that stain early before it got fully settled in and have the time to react to it, than have to find out about it months later whenever somebody flipped the cushion back over and was like, what is this? And then start backtracking. I think the responsible thing to do there would have been to speak up and say, hey, this happened. I'm so sorry. I didn't know they were going to sit there. Normally they sit at the table, must have just been full, but by the time I got to them, the damage had been done. A lot of sofas are like solvent only, so if you try to damp something and wet it on there, you can actually make it worse. So I feel for you, OP, because kids are going to do things, but ultimately you're responsible for your child's actions, right? And so you could also say here that you hid your own mess because it was caused by your kids. I do think you should have spoken up. Where does that put you here on the scale? 4 is you could have done it differently, 3 is you should have done it differently, 2 is you definitely shouldn't have done that, and 1 is you're a terrible human. You're not a terrible human. I get it. I think we definitely checked the box for 4. It could have been done differently. Definitely checked the box for 3. It should have been done differently. 2, you definitely shouldn't have done that. I feel pretty comfortable at 3 here saying it should have been done differently. You should have spoken up and been like, hey, this is here. And, flipping the cushion was your attempt at least covering it up for the rest of the party, and kudos to you there for doing something about it. But if you had given them a heads up, you could have given them the chance to start the cleanup process now and not make it permanent. And for some couches, that is critical. Kids make messes. It does happen. You just be honest about it. And especially if those people have kids too, they're going to be understanding and they're going to appreciate you letting them know rather than just sweeping it under the rug. So 3, let's make it official here with an AskCon 3. A cake AskCon 3 too, man. I don't know. That's tough, but I get it. Kids are going to make messes, but ultimately you're responsible for them too.